Here we go. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Paint and Live. Hope you guys are having a good Friday evening. Do you know what day of the week it is, Octavius? It's Friday. That's right. Friday evening. And here we go with another one of these. Yes, it's everyone's favorite project, Mythic Battles Pantheon. It's the only thing I paint. It's my whole life now. It's all I know. Every time I wake up in the morning, I think Mythic Battles Pantheon. That's it. That's it. This is me forever. This is my life now, guys. So,
what about when you're done painting?
When I'm done painting, I don't know. My life may not have a purpose anymore. But it's actually kind of fortunate. Hey, what's up, Nelson? Welcome to the feed. It's fortunate that I have done nothing so far on this particular set because unlike a lot of the other feeds that you guys have watched, you get to watch the process from the beginning. Now, I don't know if I'm going to finish anything tonight. It's not likely that I will, but we're going to go ahead and paint. You guys can tell me how you feeling about stuff, and we'll take it from there. So let's see. What is this? Let's see. I am gonna go I'm gonna go hang out somewhere. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay. I'm gonna hang out. Actually, you know what? No. We're gonna be a visitor this time. And I'm gonna come hang out in here. And I'm going to share some video in the Warboss Tay Discord. Mythic Battle Ragnarok shall be summoned to my doors, and please continue. Yeah. I mean, I gotta admit, man, these are fantastic models to paint because they're great. There's no assembly, right? Just a little bit of texture and a little bit of prime, and you are good to go. And like you can't shake a stick at that, man. So we're gonna start from the very beginning, and I'm gonna try to do this on camera, and you'll see why I don't do this on camera most of the time. But the first thing I do is I map out the flesh. Now, I've been playing around with my flesh protocol, and in fact, Yvonne's been bugging me to teach her how to paint flesh. But I'm not going to show tonight. I'm going to show what I'm doing for this set. I'm not doing what I would call my standard flesh treatment. Okay, so okay, you can hear my kid wrestling for them crackets, man. So we're going to see how I do this for this batch of models, and we're going to go with good old Guilliman flesh. And I was going to do this dude in oils. I was thinking about it, but man, we ain't going to do that. You guys are just going to see my standard method here, okay? So we're going Guilliman flesh, and this goes in a relatively generous. You apply a generous amount to your brush, and like I said, like I always say with contrast paints, start at the top of where you're painting and drag everything down, right? Try to drag it down in one clean motion if you can, because you don't want to have streak marks or lap marks, and even the mere act of going back into an area, right? If I want to pick that up, you got to be careful. If the contrast paint has dried too long, that could be a real problem. You could leave a streak there, right? And you especially don't want to do that with the skin. That is one of the reasons also why I tell people contrast paints really aren't for new painters, because they're extremely unforgiving. Therefore, they're not for new painters. They're for people who want to paint fast. They're for people who want to incorporate it in their arsenal and are willing to invest a little bit of time up front to understand how to handle this type of material. They do wonderful work, but there is a learning curve. And like I said, if you screw up, it's kind of bad. So right now we're painting Hecate. And Nelson, I don't believe I've ever painted your Hecate. So this will be interesting for me. I have almost everything I've painted thus far, I've had a practice round with your stuff. Not so much with this particular model and some of the other stuff in the Pandora box. All right. And with contrast paints, just like with color shift paints, your undercoat really decides what this ultimately is going to look like. So bear that in mind, right? And it's kind of the opposite too. You're for contrast paints, you want a light undercoat, basically white primer or very close to white primer for most of the colors. And for color shift paints, most of those colors you want a dark undercoat. And the cool part about that is I use contrast paints as the undercoat for a lot of things. So basically you just use a dark contrast paint to undercoat a color shift paint. There's still about a third of stuff unpainted. I put stuff on hold because who knows when we get to game again. Fair enough. I get that. You mean you don't want to just keep throwing money at me, Nelson? You know you like the sweatshop. When you turn the sweatshop on, I know we're gonna get back to it because I'm gonna show you these two full boxes of Mythic Battles Pantheon, and we're gonna play Batman together, and you're gonna be like, holy shit, I need all this stuff painted. Sorry, Octavius, I'm using bad language around you. You're such a mature kiddo. So we're going Apollo here. You can see that dude's got a crazy dimple on his face. He's got that Channing Tatum brow, right? He's got that. Channing Tatum kind of has like a Cro-Magnon brow. And so you kind of have this here. So this is where it gets interesting, right? Because I've got an entire field of skin here that I want to paint, and you can see if I mess around with it too much, I end up leaving too much paint in too many places, right? You want to have a nice full wet coat. That way you're what we call your wet edge. You keep a wet edge. That was awesome. Yeah, Octavius has a good sense of humor. Don't you, buddy?
I don't.
You do. You have a good sense of humor.
What does that mean?
It means you're funny and you understand what's funny. And you can say funny things.
But I don't.
Like when you said that Daddy was the easiest person in the world to piss off. That was super funny. Everyone remembers that. Because that was like, Daddy was really upset trying to leave SeaWorld. And you and Mommy and Darius thought it was so funny.
I thought that was entering SeaWorld.
Was it entering SeaWorld?
I think it was entering.
You think it was entering SeaWorld? Okay, could have been entering SeaWorld.
Probably entering. Yeah, that was definitely entering.
Okay. So you can see Channing Tatum here has you see how his skin is kind of taking the contrast paint a little bit differently than, see how it's like a lot darker than it was on Hecate? Okay. Now I'm trying to try to cover this big, broad area here. So I'm just going to put a lot down, and I'm going to push it all, right? I'm trying to get good Yeah, exactly, son, like a wash. Trying to get a big full wet coat on. Okay, and I don't want it to pool, so I'm pushing it all down.
Then it won't look as
Right,
good.
because it's even right now, the skin does not look. It does not look 100% even. Yeah, he said that. I made a meme out of it. It's pretty funny.
Oh, I think you took a picture of me.
I took a picture of you at the restaurant
Yeah,
after you said it.
Sushi restaurant.
Yeah, it was the same day, and it was right after you said it, and we were having lunch after leaving SeaWorld. And I made a meme out of it. You know, the other thing you said that was super funny that I made a meme out of was when we were at the OC Park that one time, and you could hear the ice cream truck. Do you remember what you said?
No.
You said, "Daddy, that music means either one of two things. It means either ice cream or murder." Do you remember saying that? I laughed so hard. It means either ice cream or murder. Whoa.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, and remember at the Ocean Institute when we were dissecting that female squid?
Okay. And what did you say?
That was just fun, right?
Oh yeah. I don't know what that had to do. Okay.
I don't know. I'm just bringing.
You're just bringing it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Apollo. Yeah, I was gonna do the traditional, the old school style of method of painting skin, but we're not doing our skin tutorial tonight, I guess. So we're just gonna do what I'm calling the modern skin tutorial.
I think
Nelson can remind me who these characters are. I don't remember. This is just yelling man with sword. Yelling man. Look at him. He's yelling. Ah! What? Right? I think I'm gonna give him red hair and make him look like Dicey Guy. I think I may do that. He's gonna be my Pump the Mojo miniature. Pump the Mojo. I'm making fun of my buddy Dicey Guy. When he watches this, he's gonna be so mad. I don't sound like that. He's gonna say that to me. It's okay, man. We love you, Dicey Guy. Dude. Oh yeah. So yeah. On to important stuff. Batman. Chris is actually looking to play a game of Batman this weekend. Now for me, it's going to be a little tough because this is my anniversary weekend. So we've got family stuff that we have to do. Not have to, but we're going to do. And but if I can peel away, I want to play some Batman. I printed out a bunch of I think you're right. This is probably Hector of Troy. I printed out a bunch of Batman cards, and so I have to cut out all those cards and throw them in sleeves or laminate them. So that is kind of the downside to playing Batman is you got to reprint everything, and not all your stuff gets rules in 3rd edition. They didn't do every model. Now, apparently, if your model has a 2nd edition card, it's not terribly hard to translate it into 3rd edition rules. I don't know how true that is, but that's what Chris tells me. It sounds actually kind of correct because there was a guy who took all of the 2nd edition cards. I don't know who this guy is, but he's kind of awesome looking. Took all the 2nd edition cards and he just translated them into 3rd edition, and they seem to play just fine. So we'll find out about that. Now I should note, Catman did not get, he never got a second edition card. So Catman is out, man. He's done for. No more Catman. Sad times. F's in the chat. Rip Catman. But doesn't mean now I have Bronze Tiger to take his place. So it's going to be Bronze Tiger instead of Catman.
I'm gonna go upstairs, okay?
Okay, buddy. Oh, those are pants. He kind of has... Oh, I see. He's kind of wearing pants, whoever this guy is. Yeah. I would love to try to get in some Batman this weekend, but it's going to be hard. We have to navigate the waters carefully here. Is this... I guess, yeah, those look like pants. Anyways. This guy's kind of cool. He kind of has a dual wield. He has like a pit fighter like feel to him. Very cool miniature. Actually, let's bring his legs all the way down so that he just kind of has wrapped legs. Right, so this is usually how I start all these miniatures. So I go, okay, skin first, and we block out all the skin, just like this. And then I got Icarus here, who is a pretty hilarious miniature. I don't believe I've painted your Icarus, Nelson. So we're gonna have fun on this Icarus. Now, if you notice, I'm using the same Guilliman flesh, but you can see how just the way I'm applying it and what condition the undercoat is, as to what kind of color I actually end up with on the skin. I'm getting a very light color on the skin because I really pushed the white layer of primer a little bit harder on this one. So the Guilliman flesh on the lighter background is giving me a much more lighter toned skin. This guy has a hilarious harness. He reminds me of Falcon from He-Man. He looks very much like Falcon. I may do his wings like Falcon. Yeah, I may end up doing him a lot like Falcon because it's such a hilarious reference. Hey, David Moffat. I just finished my day 6. Miniatures are built and everything's on schedule. That is pretty awesome, my man. Congratulations for staying on track. It's always very encouraging to see people holding the course, as it were. All right. So Icarus. All right. The last one we're going to do is actually one of my least favorite sculpts in all of Mythic Battles. Pantheon. Yeah, you have. Oh, I haven't painted your Icarus yet. It's these ladies, and we're gonna do their skin a little duskier than you normally would, so we're not gonna use Guilliman flesh. Similarly, we could use Dark Oath flesh. We could use Skeleton Horde. That would give them a. The problem with Skeleton Horde is it's maybe a little bit on the yellow side, so I'm not the biggest fan of that. Could do Plague Bearer flesh. Not the biggest fan of that either. So I gotta pick something that I think will work here. And yeah, the problem is most of this stuff is just very yellow. So I think what I'm gonna do is we're gonna change this up a little bit. I'm gonna move over to, I think we are gonna go with Dark Oath because Fyreslayer Flesh is too red. Dark Oath gives me a little bit of an umber tone. So that's a little bit better, I think.
Or you could mix some colors.
I could mix some colors, true. The other guy was Aegisthus the Assassin. That's a tongue twister. Aegisthus. So if you said Aegisthus that way, by the time you finish saying it, he killed you. That's because he's an assassin. Look at this. This is the cast of Absolutely Fabulous on their 20-year reunion. I think that joke made sense to nobody except for my wife, who watches Absolutely Fabulous.
It definitely didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense to you. You're not an Absolutely Fabulous fan, Octavius. It's okay.
I'm just
The damned hags.
I'm
Yeah.
basically
So we're
just
giving them. We're gonna give these ladies some Dark Oath flesh. I especially appreciate the lack of eyes. They just hand out. They just borrow the one eye. Who is it? It's Perseus. Perseus, the son of Zeus. Those are my terrible hag voices. Can we eat him? Look at that one. You kind of look like Muppets.
You do?
They do to me. They look like the pod people from Dark Crystal. After they've been on that machine,
Oh, they've been
and they suck their life force. Yeah, they suck their life force away
That was kind of yeah.
to heal up the Skeksis.
Yeah.
And am I the only person that thinks that the word Skeksis is super fun to say?
Yeah. I think it's
I love, yeah, like it's. I want to call people Skeksis.
that'd be
You
a
know?
cool name.
Yeah.
That sounds like the name of like a god. Or
You know how everyone is accusing, and I can't say it on streams because, Susan will ban me, but you know how everyone likes to play that game, Find the NZ? Well, can we just call people Skeksis? It's cooler. The problem I have with that is I would want to be called a Skeksis.
yeah,
Like, I would take it as kind of a compliment.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
If you were like, man, you're such a punk, stupid Skeksis. I'd be like, oh, cool. Guy thinks I'm a Skeksis.
Imagine if people started using that as a term.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I want to bring it into the vernacular and call people Skeksis. It's still a compliment. I think if you're calling somebody a mystic, like that's clearly a derogatory term. If you're calling somebody a mystic from Dark Crystal, you're basically saying that they're slow, they're ineffectual, they just hobble along for an entire movie. But if you call someone a Skeksis, like Skeksis have cool, horrible, evil technology. They have these like very, they have crystal bats. They have these horrible rituals where they fight each other for who gets to be leader, and then the loser they tear all their clothes off, and then they eat the when they're eating they eat all that stuff, that living stuff that crawls across their table. Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Skeksis is a great name. It brings about a lot of imagery. I just love that term. It's so good.
Yeah.
Skeksis. These are not Skeksis. they're, like I said, they're drained. They're life drained
Yeah, they look like
pod people.
They look like what do you call them? They look like the slaves.
They look like the slaves. Yeah, the pod people. All right. So we got. All right. So we have the principal skin blocked. Okay. And usually at this time, did you ever see the robot chicken skit, the Dark Crystal? No, I don't think so. I would have remembered it because I love Robot Chicken. I totally would have remembered that. Robot Chicken is this fun little TV show that they had, I want to say early 2000s. And it was basically, you'd love this show, son. I shouldn't, people are going to judge me as a bad parent, but it's a super funny show. They used a lot of like action figures and claymation to do their skits. And it's a lot of toys, like toys that we had growing up. And they do these really funny skits. But it's a lot of adult humor. But it's still funny. It's still funny. I think it's sad personally that I can find episodes of Robot Chicken to share with my son, but it's next to impossible to find G.I. Joe, intact episodes of G.I. Joe for him to watch. Right? Because the cartoon people are freaked out about showing
guns.
Showing guns, right? They won't show little kids guns. But but you could see sickles and dynamite and that kind of stuff, but you can't see guns.
Why?
But G.I. Joe was such a great show. I mean, it's
what death carries.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, they don't want you to see guns, so
Well,
you could see sickles. I would think death by sickle would be rather horrifying to watch. It'd be rather horrifying to watch a Bugs Bunny get chopped up by a sickle.
I think it would be easier if you saw just like.
Okay.
Plus,
you spit on me.
Fortnite has guns.
That's a good point.
Oh! They love that.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump around a little bit. I'm gonna go back into here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
'Cause why not?
Let guns in shows.
It is interesting.
What are you trying to say?
I don't know. All right. Yeah, I don't blame anybody that doesn't show their kid Robot Chicken, but my son is exceptionally. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. You're just very level-headed and very mature. And my parents did not censor my TV for me growing up. And look at how wonderful I turned out. So it's got to be a winning formula, folks. Has to be. All right. So now that that's blocked out, the next thing we do is actually move on and paint the eyeballs. And this is why I don't do this on camera, because painting eyeballs on camera is the death sentence. It's super awful. It's hard enough to paint eyes as it is. We're going to try painting them on camera so you guys can have a good laugh. But yeah, I mean, this is literally the process. So this is how I get models, kind of what I call the phase 1 of painting the models, so that they're ready for like a live stream or something where, you get to see me doing the fun parts of the models, right? Getting the good parts down, essentially. So a little bit of black gray. And dude, I actually should have a second camera right there so that you can see how I mixed that up in the wet palette. Because consistency of the paint is very important at this juncture. I'm going to paint in the whole orbit the dark color. This part you don't have to be quite as precise as you will be in the next part. Like Hecate kind of has this Magneto style crown on, It's a Magneto-style crown of Snex.
She has such a small face, and then she has so much hair you can barely see her face.
Mm-hmm. But she actually has.
A big head.
She has 3 faces.
What?
Cause she's
Snake.
she's many faces. No, look, see, there's one face there. Look, there's a face right there. See it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's many faces from He-Man. Oh, I should have gap filled. I didn't realize that's okay. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Once I learn how to read, I think I'm going to play this.
Yeah, you're gonna play Mythic Battles Pantheon?
I think this is.
Nelson will play. He wants to play. He has a set and we have a set. So we could play Mythic Battles Pantheon.
I'm not very experienced.
No, you are not, son. That's okay.
And I'm probably not.
There are very few people that would expect a 6-year-old to be experienced in this type of board games. And those people that would expect that, we don't want to game with anyway, because they're nuts. And we don't.
And we don't care.
Yeah, we don't care.
We're just not-
Is it me, or does Icarus' face, he looks a little Asian to me. Oh, I can't get him in focus.
Oh yeah.
He
Kinda
just
does.
looks a little Asian. Doesn't he?
I don't. No.
To me, he does.
I don't think you.
I will fly to the sun. I don't know.
It actually does.
Maybe
Like,
he does. Maybe he is. I don't know.
something needed.
Maybe he will be. I don't know. He looks. Ooh, I really messed that up. He looks Asian to me.
Wait.
He just. I don't know. He looks Asian. Here's Aegisthus, the assassin. Aegisthus, something like that. I know I'm like way low on frame, guys, but
Is it just me or does he look like he has a scar on his eye?
he may have a scar on his eye.
Like at least next to it, because I see
Yeah.
a tiny line right there. Probably just a mistake.
And then we got yelling Hector. Oh! He's saying, "Oh, you got roasted." This is before his fight with Achilles, obviously. This is right after he kills Patroclus.
Who's Patrick?
Oh, you got roasted. I punked Patroclus. I shook up the world. Alright, so then we got that. Now we move over to white. And when we do white, we do not thin the white as much as we do the black. We get the black really nice and thin. The white we do not thin as much. You could pull up that chair, kiddo, if you don't want to stand. But you don't get the bird's eye view. I get it. You don't get the bird's eye view of this when you're doing that. Yeah, no one can hear you back there. But you can come on up.
I don't really care anyway.
Alright.
Because I'm not really that important.
Time to do the whites of the eyes.
Doesn't that mean the outer layer? What comes before the pupils?
Yes, sir. That is the area around the pupils. So as you can see, this is great painting on stream because you can't really make out what I'm doing. But I'm including it here because this is a normal part of the process. And people need to know. That's what we do.
These
Right?
paints are safe, right?
What?
These paints are safe, right?
What do you mean by that?
Are they not? Are they poisonous?
No, these paints are non-toxic. These are water-based paints. that means that they are made with water, and you can clean them up with water. Some of my other paints are oil-based paints, which means they're a little bit, they can be a little bit more toxic, and so, not so much the paints, but what you use to clean them with can be very toxic. Like the mineral spirits, the thinners, the lacquers, and that stuff. I won't say anything. I'm wondering if I want to give Hecate pupils. I don't know. Some of the gods I don't give pupils to. I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't even know if I'm gonna give Apollo pupils. Sometimes they're cool with pupils, and sometimes not. I may not give these gods pupils. That makes them look a little more mythical. Especially Hecate. Hecate looks a little more haunting without pupils. So I probably won't. I probably will not give them pupils. Icarus is totally getting pupils, though. Okay. So I hope everybody had a good Friday. I had a pretty good Friday. Sometimes no pupil is better. Crazy eyes are the best. Well, yeah. The heroes will get pupils, and the gods will not. We'll do that. I just don't remember on the other set if I gave them pupils. I've never been consistent about it. I think a bunch of Nelson stuff has pupils, and some of it doesn't. But you're gonna get your kid to sleep. All right. Thanks for tuning in, David. We'll catch you next time. All right. Let's. Nope. Nope. Do you need me to be done? Okay. Well, it wasn't my plan to be done for a little while. You're tired? Well, fire up your thing, dude. And some of the pupils on these are very small. They're very, very small. All right. He's like, oh, I love this guy. His pose is awesome.
Yeah.
His pose is really great. If he were a metal model, it would drive me nuts putting them together, though. With that cross arm stance like that, that would drive me pretty nuts.
You're just glad that you don't have to build it, right?
Yeah.
So that's your least favorite thing to do with models, build them?
Building is usually my least favorite thing.
I think it's probably.
But what a lot of people love building. A lot of people prefer to build the models, and I hate building models.
I think my least favorite thing about it is
breaking the model.
Yeah, I've broken a model once.
Oh, I've broken
a
plenty of models.
I've broken a few.
Yeah. Let's just paint this eyeball in white.
I broke that team that you had that Guild-Ball team, that Resin Guild team.
Oh, I did. Oh, that's actually the eyeball right there.
Yeah. And and then I broke that fire demon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've got to put Dark Oath back on her knuckle there, because I painted the knuckle white. Beep, beep, beep. What do I do with that Dark Oath flesh? Alright. So yeah, the goal tonight is just to get most of the color blocking done so you guys can see where I take the miniature. But you never know. We may be able to finish some of these. All right. So now we're going to dot in those eyes. This is by far the hardest part of doing the eyes. And it's actually one of the hardest parts of painting the miniatures. So you need a super, super good brush. Get a super, super duper good brush with a good tip and a decent belly. And thin, thin, thin black paint. And we're just gonna, I can see, trying to trick me there with a little thread. So get a good shot on the eye. Come straight in and kind of paint it vertically like that. And then flip the model over. This is actually the easiest way to do that opposite eye, is to flip it over. That way the angle is good for your, whatever your hand is, your main hand is, right hand or left hand. And you can just go straight in. People hold their breath a lot when they do this. So some people, when they're dotting eyes, may pass out because you're holding your breath so long trying to get that to work. Now, one thing that there's a couple things that can go wrong when you're painting eyes, right? So, geez, this is the Yvonne class where Yvonne is not here, because this is stuff that she asks me about. So when you're dotting an eye or you're painting an eye, like I said, you want to have a brush like this. And most painters keep a brush specifically for eyes. Like this is their eye brush. Like this is, and it's usually a very high quality brush. I'm using a Winsor Newton Series 7. This is a size 1. Okay, so here's one of the things that is like a constant thing that happens with people is they go, well, Octave, why are you using a size 1? Shouldn't you use a smaller brush? Shouldn't you use a size 0, right? This is a Winsor Newton. This one's especially small. This is a size 0 brush. This is the miniature line, isn't it? Yeah, this is the miniature line. Like, don't even buy this brush. I'm sharing it here because somebody bought me this brush as a gift, and they thought they were doing me a favor because it said miniature, right? Because it's a small brush and because it's one of my favorite brands, Winsor Newton. The problem with this brush is the belly, okay? If I see this brush on a shelf, I am never buying this brush. This brush is pretty much useless for water-based paints. And the reason why is that lack of belly. Now, if you look at the point of that brush and look at the point of this brush. This brush is actually a little sharper, but let's say even if they were the same, they're the same. If not, the advantage still goes to the size 1. But the main advantage to the size 1 is right here. It's the belly, right? You need to have a brush that's got a decent belly to it. And so I'm talking about this bulb, this swell of bristle at the top of the brush where it meets the ferrule. What this allows you to do is this allows you to draw up more paint into the brush, and therefore the paint that's at the tip of the brush will stay wet for longer, because it's a very common mistake to buy a very small brush like this, and then you go into your paint, you dip this into your black paint to dot your eye, and then by the time you make it over to the miniature, the paint on the tip of this brush is already dry because the rest of it did not have enough liquid. It didn't draw up enough liquid to stay wet the whole time. So this is a really terrible brush, actually. And I feel bad because, these are not cheap brushes. But this is like, I guess the bottom line is, do not buy the Winsor Newton miniature line brush. Buy their Series 7 rounds all day long. They're great brushes. Do not buy the miniature line. I can actually use this for oils. I can use this for very fine like brush work on oils, but that's it. And that's like very, very corner case. So unfortunately, yeah, that one just goes back in the tube, and you know, we all say nice things, and we all, yay, it's a good brush, guys. It's really nice quality, and we make it feel good about itself, right? Yay, we clap, yay, good job, but we don't use that brush. Okay, guys, you want to get used to using size 1 and size 2. I even use a size 3 Winsor Newton. They keep amazing tips. You know, any of the good brushes, Winsor Newton, Artis Opus, Raphael. Raphael 8404 is a fantastic brush. I've beaten one to death. Here's one that I just beat to death, and now it's just like, look at that tip, it's gone. Just totally fried. So I just use it as a dry brush, and I use it as like a basing brush, right? Anyway, so that was so one thing that can happen, the common thing that happens is you dip your brush in the paint, and then because it doesn't have a good belly, it will dry up on the tip, and then you get to dotting the eye, and nothing comes off the brush. Okay. The other problem that can happen, let me finish dotting this eye. The other thing that can happen, oh, by the way, so I dot one eye, still have paint on here, but guess what? Still wash it off, okay? Still wash it off, still draw my point back to a fine point. Still, because I want to go in fresh. I go in fresh into that black well. Always make sure that I've got the good black paint there. Right, son? Just had another deja vu. That's so weird. All right. I'll explain it in a minute. All right. The next common thing that can happen when you're dotting eyes or when you're painting eyes is you do this with your brush, and you dot the eye, and the paint hits the eye and goes poof, and it blows, and you get black all in the center of the eye. That's all, and that's the opposite problem of the first issue I talked about. Not enough moisture in the first example. This example, too much moisture. So I guess what I could do is show you what I do. So I have a little cloth here that sits in my lap, okay? And then I'm probably gonna have to do this twice because she's not here. But anyways, so I have this little cloth in my lap. Then I take the brush and swirl it around in my water, right? And you can see, got no tip there. Way too much moisture. Then I gently drag it and twist the brush as I'm dragging it across the surface there. And you can see it draws it off to a nice fine little point and gets all the excess moisture off, right? Isn't that cool, kids? That is how you do it without licking your brush, you disgusting brush lickers. Sorry. I know some of you guys lick your brushes. I know some of you guys lick your brushes. I will not lick my brushes. Anyways, that's how you draw it off to a nice tip. The next thing you need to know is you're going to go into your paint. So like I said, I have this very watered down black paint. I'm only getting the tip, but let's say I was doing, I wanted to fill that whole belly full of paint. Well, now I have that excess moisture. And how do you get rid of the excess moisture? You tap it on the rag before you apply the paint. So if you don't want that big eyeball explosion to happen, you have to keep all of that in mind when you're painting eyes. This is a tough angle because I got to get over that sword arm, and I cannot see the paint. I didn't actually apply paint, but I've rinsed my brush out anyway because the paint would have been dry. It would have taken me too long. You got to get in and do this pretty quickly. Ugh. I just cannot get to that. Can't get to it. Oh, it's because I have a wire here that I'm dealing with. Okay, see? Took too long. Go back in. It's okay. You're wasting tiny little droplets of paint. Do not kill yourself doing this, but because there are wires and things in the way, I really got to change my angle of approach. And I'm going to get that right there. Okay. And we got to get the other eyeball. Same dealio. If you're just joining us, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting. You know what we're painting. We're painting Mythic Battles Pantheon, people. You knew that. But tonight I'm specifically showing you the phase 1 of the process when I'm batch painting these. Okay. That's pretty good. I think I actually screwed up the other eye. So we're going to redo the other eye real quick. Right? So I'm going to put that white back in. Another trick you can do if you're really precise is you can actually paint the eye in reverse. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make 2 dots. Okay, I'm going to make 1 dot in the corner of the eye and then 1 dot on the outside of the eye. And I screwed that up. I'm not good at the 2 dot method. But basically you paint around what a pupil could be. That's actually not terrible. That's half convincing. It's just not convincing me. So I'm going to do it the way I know. Actually, that actually does look pretty good. But I'm going to get greedy, do it the way I like to do it. Right? I'm going to watch out for those wires again. Ah! Watch out for the wires. And that was kind of terrible. Yeah. Okay, buddy. That's just a bad angle. And actually, I think I actually got it. Whoa, you can't tell. You can't tell. We lost our ability to focus. I thought we were on autofocus. Aren't we on autofocus? Turn the autofocus back on. Its autofocus is not working tonight. Sorry guys, bear with me. Put on manual focus for a second. Right, manual focus works. All right, but we're gonna deal with a little bit of manual focus while this is going on. Maybe I turn it. There's so many different scales that we're dealing with that it's kind of a problem. All right, so now I'm going to look at, now that the eyes are done. Oh, I forgot. I have to do lips. I often do lips as well. What I normally do with lips is you can use like a pinkish color and then mix it with your base skin tone. I happen to have this color that's absolutely perfect for lips. It's called Entrail Pink. This is a Reaper color, and you do not need to mix this with your skin tone. It's just a great lip color. The only person getting lips is Hecate. And it's a Reaper paint, so it's very minimal thinning involved. And again, we're gonna paint in that. And so you might be wondering, if I'm not done with the skin, why am I painting the eyeballs and the lips? Well, these are areas that I actually paint them into the faces, and then I use the rest of the skin tones to kind of block them off and clean them up. Right? So if my eyes are too big, if they're too black around the edges or whatever, I can clean them up using the skin tones that we will apply shortly. Right? So right now, and most of these skin tones are fine, right? Like, that's not terrible. You could be worse on this guy. But yeah, the problem is I've got too many scales of miniatures. All right, so now hold on, guys, 1 second. I'm gonna close the door here. Ooh. I'm gonna close the door here, and we're gonna continue on. A little sip of my tea. Okay. So now we're gonna make a skin tone that's gonna actually kind of solidify what we have here on the, geez, my autofocus is not working. Come on. Like it's focused down here. So yeah, I'm having a scale problem. Hey, what's up, Kevin? What up, man? Let's turn that in a little bit. Oh yeah, that will help the autofocus a little bit. Okay. So so yeah, now we're gonna solidify that skin a little bit. And some of my favorite things, some of my favorite tones for skin, for working with this type of skin, like one of the most bulletproof skins that I use is Tan Highlight. It's a little lighter than this skin, so I'm gonna mix it with I'll mix it with some heavy skin tone. And so this is like this heavy skin tone Tan Highlight is like a classic skin formula for me. A lot of times I'll have, you know, a lot of people have skin formulas, and I'm constantly messing with mine because I'm always looking for the better way to do skin, because it's like one of the hardest things on a miniature. We're not going to do oils with these. I don't know. I might want to play around with Apollo a little bit just because playing with oils is fun. So I'm going to do heavy skin tone and a little touch of this tanned highlight, right? And that's going to form the base coat. Now, the other thing I do is with skin tones is because I like to play around with them a little bit more is I will, instead of cutting them with just straight water, I'm going to cut them with glaze medium. That's going to give me a little more working time with the paint, and it's going to give it'll give the paint a little bit of sheen. A lot of times when you're working with skin tones tend to be very heavily pigmented, and the heavy pigments in skin tones can often lead to chalky looking skin. You know, like almost chalky, like powdery looking skin. So adding glaze medium is a great thing that I do. Now that I'm saying that, I'm looking for my glaze medium and I'm not finding it. Hold on. There it is. Right, so instead of cutting it with just water, I'm going to cut it with glaze medium. And I'm going to switch over to a more of a what I would call a primary duty brush. Right, so I'm going to switch over to this Blick, which does not have the sharpness that the Winsor does, but it's a very good, reliable brush. And I go at least 1-to-1 with the glaze medium into this mixture. I go a little bit more, in fact, and then I'm going to add just 1 drop of flow improver, right? Because I really want this mixture to level off. I really want it to be nice and open. I want it to apply smooth, and I want it to level off. So I'm going to mix all of that into one deal. You can do this with water, but you just lose a little bit of advantage in terms of your open time and your and you lose the sheen. That's still looking a little dark. It's okay though. We'll actually paint. We'll paint this layer on a little. It'll come on. It'll look a little bit darker than what we have on there. It's not the end of the world, right? So let me paint this first layer in. right? And again, this is going to be a very thin layer of paint, but it's going to be more opaque than the contrast paint, and that's kind of what we want, right? So you can see it's already a darker color than the Guilliman flesh, and again, that's okay. You kind of mix it to taste here. And literally, we're just going to apply this in layers. So this is the old school, this is more of like the old school water-based technique for skin, right? This is really more like an undertone for skin. And because it's heavy skin tone, heavy skin tone is an extra opaque paint, so it's gonna cover super well. But it's gonna be dark. So just be aware of that. Right. I'm actually gonna tone this up a little bit more before I proceed with the other miniatures. But you can see what I'm doing. You want to give these layers plenty of time to dry. So we'll do that. Let's add a little bit more tanned highlight to our mix. And as I add tanned highlight, I also have to be diligent about adding glaze medium as well. So I do use a lot of glaze medium, guys. My kids have decided to do some sort of screaming party upstairs, so that'll be interesting. Oops, a lot of flow improver there. All right. So we mix that up, and we'll do some work on Apollo here. Trying to get this tone a little bit lighter. That's almost perfect. And it's so thin. That is good. Okay. But it's going to be much more opaque than what you see here, right? So it's going to give the skin some opacity. But because it's a glaze, you can throw layer over layer, keep toning it up like I am, and you could go for a while. Like you could make a really big, like a really deep transition. Look at the dimples on this guy. It's a little insane, right? That's a little uncalled for, all of his dimpleness. You working on anything fun, Kevin? So now we're gonna right, and I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave the shadow areas in there intact. You can see it's now when this dries, you'll still see some of that contrast shade through this, because like I said, it's not going to dry 100% opaque. You're doing some bases, cool. And what this is doing, though, the main thing that this is doing is it's evening out that whole paint job. So yeah, this is a lot of stuff that I typically handle before I turn on the camera, because I don't know, it's not the funnest painting, right? It's not really the highlight part of this, which is super fun. That dude has robot abs. He does. Okay, so even areas where the contrast paint may have dried a little gray because of the undertone, this is really good at helping address that. Right? Helping unify the color of the skin and get rid of all those like questionable parts. And you're gonna want to do at least a couple of layers of this. So that's why I don't always do this like old school. This is like my old school skin technique. But you know, if I'm teaching somebody how to do skin, this is the method I will teach them. Now, like I was saying before though, do you have to use glaze medium? No. Do you have to use the exact colors I'm using? No. Some people don't even use skin tone colors for their skin tones. And that is totally fine. A lot of the Vallejo skin tones can look too yellow, so something to be aware of. I actually quite liked his skin tone, but you know, let's unify it. Let's make it all. Let's make Falcon here have a nice unified skin tone. I just think his whole outfit, everything about this guy's hilarious. All right, and we'll go over to Hector. Right. So give this skin, give this glaze. Yeah, do Simpsons theme with yellow skin. The Vallejo skin tones you have to be very careful of because they're very yellow, and then they make an ink called Skin Wash, and that is never ever use Skin Wash for skin. Okay, never ever do it. I guess maybe if you're painting like a Trump miniature and you want super orange skin, it would work for that, but it does not work for anybody else's skin ever. It's a great orange ink. Like I use it as an orange ink or an orange ink glaze because it's super good for that. But nothing like I do not go anywhere near skin. I've ruined too many models discovering that Vallejo skin wash is the worst thing to put on skin. And because it's an ink, it is very hard to shift the tone to make it usable for skin. Yeah, it would be a fun Icaros, like an alt Icaros, even though you have the awesome alt Icaros. Oh man. I hope at the tournament we get something good like an Icaros or better yet, a Windfinder. That would be nice. So you can see it going over that gray. It's going to take a couple of coats to get this. See how gray that skin is back there just because I zenithal primed? And it just looks bad without a glaze over it. Looks bad. So I'll let that dry. Every time I interact with your stream, you steer the combo towards Guild Ball. Totally fine with that. I will admit right now, though, I got Batman on the mind. But Guild Ball also love. I'm in a chat with a bunch of people, mostly Euros. And they always talk about 40k. And I always talk about Guild Ball. As I'm the only person in that chat that plays Guild Ball. They were talking about some army builder or something, and I was like, they were complaining that it cost money and it didn't do something, and I was like, oh, by the way, Guild Ball makes an app and it's totally free, and they update it with every season in errata. I do not know why I'm not. I have no stake in them playing Guild Ball. Locals playing Guild Ball, yes, I need to push that all day, every day. Or, yeah, Guild Ball, Batman, Malifaux. I do miss some Malifaux as well, but I'm cool playing some GB and some Batman. All right. Okay. Let's give. Now, these ladies don't necessarily need. I'm actually going to go a different way with them. They don't actually need the skin glaze. We're going to do something different with them, and it's going to be really odd. And I'm not sure if this is going to work, but we're going to play. They're the Fates. It's okay. So I'm going to give them a slight greenish tone by doing a little bit of Plague Bearer flesh, but I'm going to cut the Plague Bearer flesh, right? So I'm not going to go in straight with Plague Bearer flesh. I'm just going to cut it with a little bit of the contrast medium. And I'm just trying to give them kind of a duskier tone. Can't use it without a codex, though. Yeah, they were like complaining about it in the chat, and I'm like, Guild Ball have Guild Ball have an app. Malifaux has an app. Batman has an app. Anyway, the Fates. Oh, I forgot to dot the I. Forget to dot the I of the eyeball that she's holding. Let's do that. I'll dot it with the less precise brush, but it should work nonetheless. All right, so while you guys are in the chat, I'm going to ask you the last couple of days questions from the challenge because I think they're interesting, especially the day 9 question. The day 9 question was, you know, if you're a miniature in a game, what miniature it best represents you? If they made a miniature of you, what would it look like? If you had to kit bash a miniature of yourself, what kits would you use? So feel free to answer away. Obviously, those of you guys know that basically Facebook believes that I am actually Ricky Salvo from Guild Ball because it tags me. It tags photos of my rookie Salvo as me, which is the funniest thing ever. But yeah, what are you? Sean gave his answer on stream last night. He actually gave a few different answers. And then so I gave the answer of what what miniature I look like, which is rookie Salvo. But then I also talked about what type of miniature I would be, what game I would be in. So I talked a little bit about the idea of me being a Malifaux master and having a very unique playstyle that I was calling hype. It was using a mechanic called the hype mechanic. So me and my crew drop hype tokens on you, and then with hype tokens, we're allowed to steal some of your thunder when you score an objective. Like we get a cut of some of those objective points when you score. So yeah, if you have any thoughts, what are you in terms of miniature gaming? What are you best represented by? You know, holla, let us know. All right, next layer. So again, this is the old school method. So this next layer, I've added a little bit more of the lighter tone, and you just keep adding these layers, and keep toning it up. You'd be something super cowardly, be afraid of dying, man. Something like that. Oh, hi. Oh, here comes the little guy. Hey, little guy. You guys are doing the thing, huh? I am still streaming. Kevin, I'm gonna try to help you answer this question, and with how Doc Mitchell from Malifaux comes to. Hey, whoa, what's going on?
It's brown.
It's brown.
Brown is the color.
Yeah. Hold on, one sec. I don't know. I don't look at you as like represented in game as a cowardly type miniature. I think what you would do in terms of a game, like if you were say if you played more of a supporting role in a crew, is I think you would provide a lot of precision to the crew. Like you would be the you would give a lot of control to a crew, control over flips, control over ranges. So you would, in other words, I kind of view you, especially with your job and how you play Guild Ball specifically. You're a very precise player, and a highly skilled player. So you would be the type of hold on, my kids are. I'll close this door. So you would be the type of piece that could do things like grant positive flips on attack flips, that could extend the effective range of abilities, and all of that kind of stuff. And you would also, conversely, all of your defensive tech would be around causing inaccuracies. So whenever somebody, if they're going to use a trigger, they can't cheat. You would have those types of rules where it's like, okay, you're this support piece. You're not necessarily going to be the big damage dealer. You're not going to be, you're probably not like I guess a healer type miniature, but you're definitely like I guess you would be a force multiplier. That's the type of miniature I would see you as. So, and yes, I do think you would end up in a game. You could be in either Malifaux as that piece, or or player coach option in Guild Ball. You could be that as well. So that's what I see. And I think, and obviously, if you were in Guild Ball, you'd be on the Engineers Guild. So they're already 4/6 kicks, but you would extend some of the bonuses. You could get somebody to like a 6/10 kick, something crazy like that. That's what I see. So that's my thoughts. Appearance wise, I'm trying to think of like what miniatures. Like if we had to like kit bash the Kevin miniature. I'm trying to think what miniatures could we use. Well, Guild Ball is a little easier because the range is a little tighter. Trying to think here. What would be a good one? It's weird. The male characters in Guild Ball they're very strange. Like they don't. There's a few what we'll say is like normal looking characters. I mean, we could kit bash you out of a nomad miniature. I mean, you'd probably be fighting nomad for a spot on the 6 anyway. So it could be a mix of nomad and we'd probably add some more robotic parts to nomad. He may have he has the goggles on his forehead, but maybe you would have the goggles on, and the goggles would be like these crazy, precision, precision, instruments that's like, almost like Cyclops from X-Men. Like maybe you have this like crazy visor that gives you court vision or something like that. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking for the Kevin Gilball miniature. That would be pretty dope, I think. Okay, let's keep working on skin, because why not? So we're gonna up the ante a little bit. We're gonna move up to fair skin. I'm gonna start adding fair skin. What weapon would you use? That's a good question. I mean, you're in engineers, so you would have some ranged weapon, but I'm just gonna to give you the falconer's nod. So you have like a bubo. you have like a mechanical owl that you send out. Oh snap! What if Gilball Kevin gave engineers an AOE that wasn't quite as good as Harrier, in that it's not +1 damage, but he sends the bubo out, right? And it puts out an AOE, and maybe you get an extra +1/+2 kick within that, and +1 tack, right? So again, kind of playing to that theme of increasing precision for the team. Oh, that'd be so sick. Gilball Kevin's kind of sick. Malifaux Kevin is probably broken. Gilball Kevin would be pretty sick though. That would be cool. So, yeah, that was a fun question of the day. Really, I always enjoyed that one. Let's see. Today's question isn't quite as entertaining talking with people that you game with, because you already know. The question of the day was, what's your favorite faction or army to play? And I'm like, oh, okay. If it's somebody that I game with, I already know what those answers are. If they game with me, they already know what my answers are. So it's not quite as entertaining. All right, guys, we gotta cut down on the in and out in the room, okay, buddy? Thanks, son. All right, so you can see it's coming in. I like that, dude. We should create your Gilball character for that podcast. Oh yeah. We should do. I think we should do is like we should have a fancy Gilball team that is made up of the regulars. Are Alks your favorite? They're still my number one. I want to make a commitment to learning engineers, like really forcing myself to put them on the board more often and really kind of commit to learning them, especially Pinvice. So it's going to be an uphill climb if I do that, but I want to do that because I think I can have a lot of fun. I think what Pinvice will give me is it will give me a team that feels a little bit more like Order, but it gives me a little bit more of the interesting weaponry that you have access to on an Engineer's Guild. So yeah. So for now, Elks are still my number one. They're still my favorite team to play in Guild Ball. They're still the team I could put down 20 12 times in a row and not be bored playing them. But I am trying to make a conscious effort to make engineers really sit in that 2 spot, or maybe even threaten them. So I know right now the Flackeners that's where you're still at, but I don't know what are Shepherds gonna do? Are Shepherds gonna make you change your mind? Are you gonna be interested in fielding Shepherds more often? Or do the Shepherds players make you more interested in fielding farmers? NGs are super interesting right now. Yeah, and I gotta get the thing is I gotta get that brain. I gotta get the ball vision back, dude. I've been playing like shit lately. I've been playing the last couple of games. I played a Guild Ball. I know it'd be easy to just blame it on missed passes and how bad. Dude, you should play NGs anyway. Play them anyway. I say play them because you could. I will gladly sit back and watch and learn. Play, yeah, man. If you want to play NGs, please do. Borrow them for the next tournament. I don't care. I want to see that. I'd love to see what you do with NGs or Elks or any of the teams I play. Because I know you watch my games and you're like, and you'll tell me, you're like, you could have just done the same thing with, spending 1 fewer influence and just moving to here. You want to be the Falconers guy? Oh, I see. It was convenient. Well, it was only the first box too. Shh. This kid is not going to bed. All right. Convenient to buy. Yeah. All right. So it looks like I missed an entire foot here on Apollo. So we're filling that back in with the Guilliman flesh, and then we'll layer it back up. Luckily, it's a foot, right? A foot you can, on smaller pieces like that, you can kind of shortcut the layering up. You can see though the abs they're a little too perfect, right? Everything his swollenness is a little too perfect. But yeah, this is the old school skin layering technique. You can actually shortcut this technique quite a few different ways. If using washes and that kind of thing. I use a wash as a backup when I'm doing this technique. In other words, the wash is a get out of jail free card, right? If you screw up too bad, if your highlights look terrible, if the blending looks bad, you get out of it using the washes. Anyways, I know the tournament we got next week, I expect everybody's just going to break out their mains again because it's been so long since we played, right? And you want the games to count, so you might as well break out your main guild and play it. I have not played 4.3 Alchemist yet, right? Because I played a couple games with Bing and with Sean, and so far it's just been engineers and order for me. Post lockdown. You can see this layering. It's looking pretty good. You can see how it's able to build. I hope people show. I was trying to get a hold of Aaron to see if he's going to show, or Andrew. I know Andrew's always super busy. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I would love it if, like, say, Ryan and Pedro showed up, and Reagan and whatnot. I don't know. I guess we should. I should post in the group and just see Like who's gonna show up?
1, 2, 3, 4.
And still hear my kid going.
And no.
Shh, buddy. Quiet. Okay. You're itching for Guild Ball. Yes. Yes. So now you can see why, you know, my old school classic style is to really spend the bulk of the time getting the skin right, the skin, the face, and the base right. Because a lot of this other painting, frankly, you know, if it's a simple, if the model is a simple design, you don't need to do, you know, 7 layers of paint on like your basic robe. You can do some cool blending and highlighting on it, but you don't need to do a ton of layers on it. But you could see how dark her skin, the undertone was. It's gonna be a while to build it, to build the tone to where Apollo's is. Apollo started off lighter, so he's just gonna continue to look lighter. And you can see as I'm adding the layers down, I'm able to fix stuff like the, you know, how I painted the lips. All right. And then you just, with each layer, just let it sit. It's already a very light, it's already a pretty light tone. But I'm going to keep layering hers up. Apollo here is pretty good. Maybe I give him one final kind of high level layer. Right? Just build the top, around the top edges of stuff. But I can already tell, like, this versus oil painting, it just, the skin, while the skin looks nice and clean, it looks, to me, it just looks plasticky compared to like blending this with oils. And the good part about this too is I could always just go back, like if I want to do a final highlight with oils, I could totally do that here. And it probably look really nice. I probably just used, in this case, I would probably just use the lightest oil skin color I have and just do the quietest little highlight on the tops of the muscles. And I bet it will look dope. I kind of want to do that. I say we do that on this stream. Let's do it, just to show you that last, like, right, because this is where water-based skin tones will get you, and it looks great. Don't get me wrong, right? It's good. Everything looks nice and clean. You can see it's a nice smooth job again with the way those the glazes go down. Super smooth. They level off really nicely. Oh, hey, what's up, Spaz? Welcome to the feed. You can listen to my kid. Shh. You can listen to my kid playing, which is in a lot of ways more interesting than me talking. But yeah, all right. But let's do that. Let's actually do a little oil. I'll literally just do one oil highlight on this, just so you could see. Is anybody else? Shh. Hey, hold on, one sec, guys. Oops. Hold on. I know it's getting a little loud. 1 second. All right, I had to move my 3-year-old into the other room. it's, he's decided to move a bunch of toys into this room. Hold on, still a couple of toys in there. There we go. So we'll do that. And that's fine. It'll give us some time for that skin to dry a little bit. Like I said, I'd probably normally push a little bit faster, but we're slowing down tonight just to kind of show you guys the process a little bit and how much more time I'll spend on stuff like getting the skin and the face right and all that stuff. And then the rest of this process, right? Once I'm satisfied with the skin, then I just do hair, and then I do color blocking, and then it's like cruise control from there. Once you do the color blocking, it's mainly a matter of getting the highlights down, and then just final little touches, and that's it. That's the process I use when I'm attacking stuff like this. I just go a lot faster off camera because I'm not stopping to explain everything, and a lot of it too depends on when you do that first underlayer of contrast paint. I kind of make a decision how far I need to push the skin before I say, okay, we're good. Right? I look at how the contrast layer went down, and then I go, okay, I need to push this quite a bit more just based on the sculpt or based on where I want the focus of the miniature to be. Like for Icaros here, yeah, he has like he's like super abs, McDude and whatnot. Like they all are from this range. But that's not the focus of the model. Focus of the model is the wings. So the wings and this really cool harness he has. So I don't need to spend an inordinate amount of time on the skin. I just need to make sure the face looks reasonably nice and that the skin itself has a nice little sheen to it and looks moderately convincing. Like that's okay. Her, on the other hand, she does actually need a little bit. I want to give her another layer because she does actually need it, in my opinion. So we will give her another layer of skin here. But yeah, let's play with the. I'm having so much fun playing with oil painting. It's so much fun. It really is. So even though I could be pushing a little bit faster on these models, I don't know. Tonight just seemed like let's just have a little fun. Ooh, I screwed up right there. I did not get that. See, I didn't get back there. Did not. I did not. And I want to have a nice undertone there. So I am going to put a kind of an opaque. Well, let's do what works. Let's do a little Guilliman flesh back there. It's going to look a little bit darker, but again, it's kind of a weird corner in the model. So, right, very few people will see back there. Okay. So I'll spend a little bit more time getting these done. All right. Skin is looking pretty good. So this is primarily like a skin clinic. What is the drying time on the oil? It is 24 hours. It takes 24 hours for that oil to dry. And so it's a big deal. So we are going to break out some oil paints, and we're only going to put oil paints on this dude, but I wanted to do it on camera so that you can see some of this stuff happen. All right. And like I promised, I am going to do just the lightest bit of light flesh. Okay, so we're going to do light flesh with the oil brushers. Now you could apply the oil, I could apply the oil brusher directly to the skin there, but this is going to be such a light highlight that I probably won't. Well, I don't know. I guess I could just do a little dot, but I'd rather do it. I'm more comfortable applying it to a palette first and then gradually adding the oil. So I'm gonna put this skin on a palette, this light skin. All right, and I'm gonna use a different brush this time for it. We're gonna use the ABT 502, which is a nice it's a decent Kolinsky brush, but it's one that I'm not afraid to beat up a little. All right, so I'm gonna get a little bit of oil on there, and we're just gonna kind of slap it on here on the top sides of the muscles, the skin, you know, basically where I would expect the highlights to be. Right, so I'm gonna do a little bit there. It's gonna be a lot on the center, kind of that center aisle here, where his perfect abs are. Okay. We're just gonna. So I'm just kind of doing the spotting, right, where it's gonna go. I know most of the time I'm with you. Most of the time I won't do this, but we're having a little fun tonight. We're playing around with skin tones. I'm showing off different ways to do skin tones, or this is actually, I guess this is what I call my classic method of doing skin tones, where we're playing around like this. Oop. This can be very fun. All right, so we got all this down. Then it's just going to be a matter of working all this stuff in, right? Because I kind of just slapping it on right now. Right. And in fact, let's do a little bit on, just a little bit on her too. Not too much. Just to give ourselves a little bit of fun. We're painting this stuff. With her, there may not even really be enough skin here to play with. But we'll try. Okay. So now we're going to dampen this brush. With a little white spirit. And now we're gonna soften that whole edge in, right? Just soften all that up and blend it in. So you may have a little too much spirit on my on my brush. There we go. It's just going to give us these nice little clean transitions there. That's all we did was we just worked in a little bit of that light skin tone. Whoa. Yeah, this brush actually picked up a lot more of the white spirit than the Taklon brushes I was using the other day. So these guys will carry it out a little bit further, and they're gonna carry a little more spirit than a synthetic brush. So you can see that hard line there. There's actually a mold line right there. We'll use this to kind of just soften that up, right? So what we're doing with the skin tone is really subtle. It's really subtle, but it's visible, right? I'm just massaging that highlight in. And if I wanted to spend more time on this, I could build in other colors in here, because the skin will have other colors. You'll have greens and purples, and you'll have all kinds of colors in here. So, you really want to go to town with this. It's going to be, it's going to be 5-6 different colors. Let's smooth out hers. So there's very little. There's actually very little. I put very little on her. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun. Like you with her, you're not even gonna notice that it's there, because I did not do enough there. Right? Just for fun. That's it. That's it. I mean, frankly, guys, that's all I was trying to get to tonight. Was just to get to finishing off the skin and showing you, like, showing you how we can play around with it a little bit. It's like had a rough spot back in that corner. So we can smooth all that out. I'm having so much fun painting with oils. I want to save like maybe the biggest model at the end of this and just paint that model with like mostly oils. If you're watching I don't know, James Wapple or something like that, where he paints the entire miniature with oil paints. Pretty awesome to watch. Super fun. All right. Let's start working on hair, I guess, because that's the next thing I would do. So I would start working on hair. Mythic Battles Pantheon hair is a little on the boring side. Most of the models are brown hair. Hecate will make, I guess we'll make her kind of like the crazy platinum blonde. That's not a stereotype, is it? I just realized my little chat box. You see how my the camera is kind of off to that side there? It's so that I have a chat box that is just not working. I don't know what's up with that. Okay. Anyway, I still have the skin glaze if I wanted to do another layer of the skin glaze, but I'm pretty happy with everything so far. You want to use a color like Grayseer or Wraithbone as a reset for your contrast paints, where contrast paints may have gone out of bounds or whatever. I use where's the color? I use this color, Sky Gray from Vallejo, instead of Wraithbone, or sorry, instead of Grayseer, because it will get you to the same spot. So I need to paint her hair back in with this light gray. But yeah, a team where we take our locals, right? So we make guild ball player cards for Kevin and for Nathan and for Andrew and all those guys, and we make a 12-man roster of our team, and we use a blacksmith type format, so we don't have a mascot. I guess maybe Yvonne is our mascot. I don't know, but we could either do that, like write up rules for her as a mascot, or we go with a blacksmith style. Blacksmith would be cool because then that would allow us to put 6 locals down as a team. But it would be fun either way, I guess. And yeah, and then we just come up with rules for each of the players, and they would probably feature rules from some of their favorite guilds to play, right? I think that would be fun. I would have a rule. I would have a rule kind of like Crucible's rule, but it would be called the Fever is Strong. So that if you have if a character is suffering an effect, the effect costs either 2 influence to clear, or if it's bleed, it lasts 2 turns. Who would be our classic beater? Andrew, for sure. Andrew would be the big man. He would be the classic beater. We'd have Andrew and Chris. They would be our big men, and they would have Andrew would have the the more brewer style playbook, so higher tack than columns, and Chris would have more crowd control type stuff. Or he could also, if we're gonna make him a pure beater, he could be more like a Wendell type character, right? So we could do stuff like that. Yeah, we could do cool stuff. Also, Nathan would have crazy control rules, so he could he would have a lot of denial, right? So characters who he would have some crazy aura that would be like characters who gain free character plays, or who are allocated influence during when they activate, would lose that ability if they activate within 4 inches of Nathan. That's what those would be like. That would be like a Nathan type rule. I think he'd like that a lot. I don't know. We could come up with some cool rules for each player, though. Right? You could have like Ryan, for example. He could have he could have bleed type effects. I think you need a rule called Papa Brown. Papa Brown would be a legendary play, right? Papa Brown would be basically you have to own a brown dice to to um to play the rule. But when you do Papa Brown on your legendary turn, you are required to roll a brown die with every die roll that you have, and it's got to it counts as one of your dies, but you get to re-roll that brown die. So it'd be a pretty powerful legendary. It's basically one re-rollable die for an entire activation, like one turned activation. Where white folding table would be our goalpost. I'm liking this. I'm liking this custom team. We may have to do it. We'd have to come up with like special rules for each player though. Have to come up with rules for Aaron and Reagan and Sean. Be pretty awesome. All right. Yeah, we're gonna do hair. Hair is boring, but we had to do hair. I usually just if I'm blocking hair, it's just like 3 or 4 different contrasts. So let's see. None of those are great hair colors. Hold on, where did all my hair colors go? Wildwood is a good dark brown, or Cygor brown. Cygor brown's a little too rich most of the time. Gorgrunta fur gives you like a red-brown color. So these two are very common for Mythic Battles Pantheon. Obviously, if you're going to do blondes, you could do Nazdrag yellow or Iandin yellow. I may do kind of a lighter color for Apollos. I want Apollo to have lighter hair, even though he has a gold crown. I'm gonna have to figure this out. And then she's gonna have Hecate will have like I said, like probably either platinum blonde hair or like white gray hair. Jose would just be a model on the bench. not Hunter's Jose, not the new guy Jose, but Jose. He would just be. Where's is Jose in the chat? That's so sad. So sad and so funny. The unpainted Jose thing would be like, would that count as like momentum or something? You spend it as momentum. Oh man. But yeah, we could have people come up with their what are their special rules. You there he is. There's Jose. he knows that. Just have me sitting next to the scoreboard. Yeah, Jose would be he's momentum. Or Jose would allow you to, you can spend the Jose counter once per game, and it gives you like a, I don't know, like a free reroll or some a reroll throw-in kick or something, because he helps set the table up. It's like a goalpost special rule. Oh no. Dude, I like this character. Nelson, how come you didn't let me paint this character? Just kidding, dude. He's cool. He is cool, though. Okay. I will show this because this is actually kind of interesting with the skin thing. All right. So like I said, the old school technique is you just, you block the paints out, and then you just build it up layer by layer or whatever. Oh wow, the oils actually look a little up there. Looks like I could have spent a little bit more time on them, but that's okay. Right, but this is your typical thing: is you just kind of build up the skin tone, right? But let's say, like, I'm looking at this model. Ooh, who's way out of focus. Sorry, guys. But you could see here that the skin looks very flat and very chalky. And part of that is because I didn't do enough layers with the glaze. So, and as, like I said, those skin tones can look rather chalky. Now, what if I didn't want to just do layering? What if I wanted to, shortcut it, right? Well, the easiest way to shortcut it, if you're going to do that, is to apply a wash, right? So we're going to apply some P3 Flesh Wash, which is great stuff. Usually, once you want to thin this a little bit, and you want to be able to control tone on this. So I'm going to apply it unthin just so you can see what it looks like, and then we're just going to I'm going to quickly move it around so that it doesn't end up staining the skin too hard. Right? Actually, looks like I've got it already the right consistency. But all this is doing, you can see it's applying a little bit of a red tone in there, and it's helping like smooth out the skin and blend it in. Right? So chalky arms right there. You don't want it to really sit in many spaces unless they're pretty hard creases like knuckles, places where skin meets hair or clothing. For the most part, you're just trying to smooth everything out with the Flesh Wash. And P3 Flesh Wash is my favorite. It is my go-to. And you can see this is going to significantly smoothen painted skin like this. So like I was saying earlier, washes can be your get out of jail free card if you if you end up with chalky skin and you don't want to just keep adding layer after layer, right? So there you go. So now you saw another shortcut that you can incorporate, and you can mix all of these. You can mix all the little techniques to taste however you want whatever gets you to the end point that you're hoping for your miniature at the end. That will work. All right. You gain enough momentum, it might actually. All right. Back to Wildwood. So we got Wildwood on a couple of these models. I'll put. Actually, I want those hags to not have Wildwood. We're gonna go with some gray hair on them. But first, let's do some lighter hair. So we're gonna do. Let's see. We'll do some skeleton horde, and I'm gonna do this on Apollo's hair. So this is gonna go down on Apollo's hair, and it's right. So it gives you a very pale like light brown blonde hair. I know Apollo in the art has dark hair. It just bothers me. The dude is the sun god, right? He should have light hair. That is one thing that's cool about this set is I'm not overly worried about the artwork because the artwork on this set is all very drab. It's very hard to make out, color schemes based on the artwork. Everything looks gray or, gray or green in the artwork. You can see how nice that color is just like that. Hell, maybe Hecate has that same. Yeah, let's give Hecate the same color hair. But yeah, you guys this is basically phase one, man. This is, this phase typically goes a lot faster if I'm not stopping to explain stuff and, doing regular feed stuff. Not the most entertaining painting, but I wanted to include it here just so that you can see, like when we get to stream, I have like a lot of these steps already done so that we can just get to the fun painting parts. Oops, I actually need the bigger brush. I need the bigger worker brush for this. I'm not sure why my nose is itching like mad. I was in San Bernardino today, guys. It's 106 out there. It's disgusting. 106 out there, and we're wearing masks out in public. Oh, rough, man. Felt really bad for, the people that work half inside, outside type things, for being out there. That is just not fun. I bought different sets of masks for the summer than the ones I was using at the start of the lockdown. Because the ones I'm using at the start of the lockdown were very good at, covering up your face, but they they're very, they were really good at covering up your face and the bottom half of your face, but in hot weather it's just a nightmare. So hot weather, you need something lighter, something more lightweight that you feel like you're not going to suffocate in. So I switched to my the masks that are basically they're basically Hawaiian shirts. So they're real lightweight but high thread count. So they do a decent job, but they're also very comfortable. You can see how this color by itself doesn't need a whole lot once it dries, right? It's actually pretty nice color once that dries. Okay. Let's do some gray hair on these ladies, and then we'll give Icarus kind of a lighter brown. He'll have a lighter brown hair. And then yeah, and then I think we're gonna slow this down. The other thing to note too is that, so this is Basilicanum Gray, and this is like perfect for You want to do old lady gray hair? Basilicanum Gray is one of my favorite contrast paints of the whole set because it is so versatile. You could use it for so many different things, and I use it for a ton of different stuff. So I keep myself pretty well stocked on Basilicanum Gray. The only downside to Basilicanum Gray is you really, really need to control what the undercoat is, because it's very easy to affect this Basilicanum Gray, the final look of it, based on what you're going over. That can be an advantage too, though, because I use Basilicanum Gray as a tint for a lot of things as well. And it is a great sort of general wash, almost in the sense that like a Nuln Oil is. All right. So get into it with these ladies. And yeah, a little bit of a slower night. Quiet, quiet, reasonably quiet on the voice sides. No guests on tonight, nothing like that. I am planning on having some guests, though, for some of these future feeds. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited for it. There should be some fun people on that we can talk to. All right. One last set of hair, and it's going to be this dude here, Icaros. That dude, that falcon dude has like gray feathers, and you don't get to see his hair because he's got a red helmet over it. I don't care. I'm just gonna give Icaros like some crazy blonde hair. Nazgreg yellow is a natural choice, but I'm gonna go like bright, and I'm gonna go Iandin yellow, which may be a mistake, but I don't care. Oh, I'm still using the big brush. You can see it. Look at that. Look at how bright yellow Iandin yellow is gonna be. Yeah, it's a crazy hairstyle. Crazy Billy Idol. Yeah, this is like Billy Idol blonde, really. Right, and then I can do that. I should model some flames on him. I should just take a lighter and melt the outside of his wings. That would be cool. People will be like, "Oh, your model's busted." No, it's Icarus. Oh, I get it. Yeah. All right. All right, guys. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. We got to do a little bit of painting. You guys got to see kind of the initial, like I said, we're calling this the phase one of when I'm doing a batch of models. So we did skin, eyes, hair. Those are things that can take a long time when you're painting these models. So getting those done bright and early, and being ready for the next part, which is the next two steps are really just, like I said, color blocking, where we fill out all the colors that we expect to have on this model, and then the final highlighting, and that's it. I mean, these models are only 25% along, but it's going to be a pretty quick process from here. So, all right, guys, that is going to do for this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'll give it a. Oh, I've got to fix. She has so much hair, Hecate, that I have to go back and see the there's big old spots I missed right there. Yeah. So we'll give it another couple of minutes while I finish the hair. If you guys have any comments, let me know. And yeah, we're just going to keep rocking the July painting challenge. So, all right, everybody. Anything else? Am I missing? Yes, I am. See? A couple of under spots here. We'll let that dry. And then there's like a bone color you can use to highlight this. Alrighty, so that, my friends, is going to do it for this video. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a good night. You know, if you're part of the July Painting Challenge, keep on trucking and check us out on our Discord. Thanks everyone for watching. And there we go. Oh yeah, we got to talk about that at some point, Kevin. We're going to talk about your rubric Marines. So much white over gold, and there's so much gold trim. I'm going crazy. Good night, dude. Have a good one, everybody.